Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today, I have a little bit of a different game today for everyone. I have a 5v5 custom match on the map Plaha. I think that's it. Plaha. I think that's how you say that. Let's go ahead and introduce our players, and then during introductions, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. We will start with Team 1 in the northeast corner of the map, starting with the player of OCA going first land as a Seraphim in purple. Going counterclockwise, we have Arctic for Polar going first land as a Cybran in blue. Next to him, we have Zybe Lake Cobb going first land in white as a Seraphim going first land. West of him, we have Gutsy Heart going first land as an Aeon in royal purple. And last but not least, for Team 1 in the northwest corner of the map, we have Wuka going first land as a UEF in crimson. Down here to the south, we'll start with Team 2 at the 7 o'clock position, I think, of Surrey going first land in forest green, good sensible color. As a Seraphim, again going first land. Next to him, the other green color, we have Lil Sid Lil going first land as a UEF as well. And next to him, we have Still X going first land in Neil as an Aeon. To the east, we have Yzma 98 going first land as a Seraphim in glow in the dark green. And last but not least, for Team 2, we have the Navy Blue player of Properatus going first land as a UEF. So, if you're familiar with Sid, and if you can see, obviously read the ranking on the top right hand corner of the screen, Sid is a 2500 and Properatus is a negative 100. So this is going to be kind of similar to a Pro v Joe kind of situation. I wasn't able to find like 2 pros versus like 6 Joes kind of match, but I was able to find like there's one definite pro and everyone else is Joes, and a lot of the players on the pro team are kind of on the lower side of the ranking. We have Still X and Sid being the top 2 players by a large margin compared to their compatriots, at least in terms of Preparedness. And Team 1, we have 1400s to 1600s, averaging about 14 versus Team 1340. So Team 2 is short stacking it in terms of ranking, but they do have a 2500. So the skill ratio kind of balances everything out. This is a share it until death game, so any units built by a player or structures after that player is killed will self-destruct. We have some early scouting out from the forest green player of Surrey to this northwest section of the map. And this map is very, very designed in terms of like lines going vertical from up to down. You have a lot of this, there'll be a lot of action in terms of going straight up and down, not really against, not really west to east, but more north to south. We have a drop out here from OCA for this higher plateau, as well as the ability to fire down onto the main position of Properatus in this little canyon area of the map, and dropping units right on top of his main base. They are engineers, so not going to be a huge concern. But those engineers get a reclaim order off and start by building a point defense. Hopefully the calm of Preparedness. Yep, he does notice it and pulls back. Very rare to see a ringed mechs of P-gens. Usually you do like maybe 1 or 2, but not really a whole lot comparatively to the, instead of ringing it with mass storages, for example. We have units out here from the white player of ZB, getting some early harass down, as well as pushing that forward line further and further to allow comms and units on Team 1 to secure these higher planes. Lots of peaks and valleys in this game. You can tell it just look how low the difference between that little pond is and that point right there. That's a huge difference. This is going to be very advantageous for our players to claim these little plateaus on this down those sides of the map that have them. Turning my mic up just a little bit. There we go. Hopefully that does a lot better job. We have a gun speed and range going down for Surrey down here. to the western side of the map. We have some fighting out here on this plateau. Team 1 is able to claim that for themselves and be able to scoop up all of that mass. There's a decent amount of reclaim even after some of the recon has already been scooped up. Large sections of mass for our players to hoover up and turn that into structures, units, upgrades, all of the sort of action we have come to know and love for SubCom. So I just wanted to point out the fact that we're going to see a lot of action going down here for Sid. Of course, he is the leader of the game in terms of ranking. So we'll probably see a lot of the players on Team 1 focus down the highest rated player of Sid, because once they kill him, it's pretty much not game over, but the higher likelihood that the chances increase that they are going to win. It is an 86%, so again, it's not perfectly balanced, but again, we're talking about a kind of Pro versus Joe situation. Not really going to be balanced in terms of, you know, ranking totals and averages kind of thing. That's kind of the whole point. We are seeing some comm-on-comm action over here to the west. We have Yzma 98 racing off against Zelby. And Zelby's taking a lot of hits, dropping down into the yellow. Yzma does have some PD being built up in the backline to fall back to. Very good placement of those. We have a T2 upgrade on the east for OCA, trying to secure this eastern approach. It's kind of a very disorienting map because you have these valleys and you have these peaks and you have, you know, all this stuff that makes it very hard to kind of judge the environment by. And it makes for interesting gameplay, of course, but it just, you know, you zoom all the way out and you're like, this is kind of weird. It's just, it's very, the map design is very different than what a lot of the maps that I've casted so far. This is a 10 by 10, so not the biggest thing on the planet, but it's also, you know, better than a 5v5. If this was a 5v5, you'd have action pretty much within the first minute, most likely. So it's, again, very common for, you know, team games, at least of, you know, 4 to, you know, 6, 8s to be at least 10 by 10, if not 20 by 20. We can see that Surrey has gotten some forces over here on this higher plateau. They are trying to stave off any incoming fire, but it looks like Wuka was able to distance build all the way to the top of that plateau and build a T2 point defense that will allow for a lot of defenses to be taken out against Surrey. Maybe Wuka will be able to hold this position up here, but we are seeing interceptors being on station to help assist in the air game, and wouldn't be surprised to see a bomber or two come in and finish off that PD. And it's very important early on, especially with no share until death games, that you share faction resources very quickly in terms of switching engineers over, and then having, so, you know, Sid, let's say he's UEF, he gets access to Cybern Tech or even Seraphim Tech, gets an engineer, goes to his main base, builds a factory. That factory, because it was built by Sid, will stay alive, but the engineer that was given to him will die if Surrey dies, because it was built by Surrey, not by Sid. So share until death obviously just means that the unit, who's ever built it, in terms of who it belongs to, that originally, even if it like gets traded between all the different players, the original builder of that unit, if he dies, those units are gone. We have the wall going up here in the valley, kind of a Helm's Deep kind of thing, except that was, you know, between, I mean, it's kind of between two mountains. Well, it was in a mountain range, I guess. But I would like to see more defenses. I love the fact that the wall is in between, like, you know, it's straddling this this mass extractor. Would have liked to see that a little more far forward, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. There is 2 wall sections going down, so gonna allow for a buffer zone. The only issue is the fact that these units out here from Zelby are going to be able to use their artillery to fire down onto those turret emplacements, those PD emplacements, so we're going to be aware of that. We have Oka being surrounded by units out from his partner of Arctic for Polar. We have a possible run-by on the cards from Yzma, but a lot of those units are going to get cut off, and unfortunately for Yzma, they're going to die without getting a whole lot of damage down. And it looks like Team 1 exploiting the advantage of the fact that Proparadis doesn't really have a whole lot of. I don't know if he's new to the game or he's just suffering some ranking, just loss after loss kind of thing. But he is, he's down here literally at the bottom of this. It's kind of hard to visualize, but he's at the bottom of this little ravine valley thing, being shot at by these missile launchers. So not a great position to be in. So Team 1 will probably overrun his position and kind of go clockwise and take out infrastructure. And I can't. ACUs, I cannot talk tonight. I do apologize. We're having the comm of Surrey pretty far forward at 10 minutes. That's not. I mean, there's not T3 air as of yet, so strap bombers aren't a thing. But I would probably start moving back just to ensure you don't get sniped, because again, the huge issue or the huge downside to share until death, or just no share at all, is the fact that you die, all that infrastructure is gone in an instant. So being aggressive here for the comm is good in the early stages, of course, but later stages, you just got to be aware of it. Okra trying to prevent Yzma from getting a foothold over here on this one of the plateaus or main, planes of combat. It's like, you have the plateau down here, you have the valley down here, you have another, I guess the ground floor, the main floor. So again, it's a very different map. A lot of elevation. You got to keep in mind, distance building and how artillery works and arcs and all of that. That transport dropping right next to Yzma is not really the best idea. Lots of defenses are being taken up by the comm of Oka, but or OCA, but unfortunately, Yzma's just constantly building them, trying to hold back the comm of OCA. Doing a decent amount of job just due to the fact that OCA doesn't have any reinforcing units. But, by himself, he's doing a pretty good job considering. And he's taken out pretty much the entire base from Proparadis down here in the southeast section of the map. Derby falling back just a little bit. The comm and units out from Sid just hanging out. Looks like he's ecoing up. Actually check his eco pretty quick. He is the highest in terms of generated eco at the moment at 91, just being followed just barely by OCA, and OCA probably has that due to just the map control that OCA has. Lots of T2 mexes. He has 12 T2 mexes. So that's that's 72 of his 89 generated eco is just T2. So a lot of economy at his fingertips. But Sid having a smaller area and smaller amount of mass points, definitely ecoing up pretty hard, and that illustrates by the fact that he's not winning the eco game or race. Still X is ahead of him just a little bit now, but he's doing a lot with not a whole lot. Is pretty much what I'm getting at. So it looks like map control is pretty much kind of getting into kind of a yin yang. Like, it kind of curves and then comes back. And kind of I think that's is it a cosine wave? Sine wave? Maybe that's a tangent. I forget. It's been a long time since I've done trigonometry class. I think it's a tangent wave. Because sine waves do, and cosine waves do, like, they oscillate. Tangents, they just, like, do a really stretched out S or something. Anyway, sorry. Just remembering math. Anyway. We have some not the fighter bombers out from the comm of Surrey out here to the west. Looks like they're trying to do some economic damage, but there are a whole lot of interceptors nearby. The Crimson player of Wuka was able to thwart any surviving units out from Team 2 and has pretty much claimed the entire plateau next to his base, similar to what OCA has done to Prosperitas. Prosperitas has fallen all the way back, trying to get reestablished. I do appreciate the fact that he's still in it for the fight. He hasn't given up. He has no units besides himself, and is just doing his best to try to stay in it. I do applaud that tenacity and that willingness to keep going forward, even if you are only generating 3 mass a second at 14 minutes. D3 air has been achieved for for OCA. Gutsy, I would assume, has T3 air. No, only is going for land, it looks like, and going for T3 land at the moment. T3 air has been achieved for Zybe. I keep saying, I think every time I say the name, I say it differently. The player of Arctic for Polar has T3 air, and T3 air might be on the cards at some point for Wuka. So we have 3 players on Team 1 that have T3 air. Team 2 on the other. Do apologize if you could hear that. And if I didn't mute it in post. I had a loud sneeze. I have loud sneezes. For some reason, I don't know why. We have a T3 air headquarters being under constructed and upgrading for Yzma. We have T2 air that has been achieved, but T3 air has not. T3 air obviously has been achieved for Sid, and it looks like T3 air might be on the cards for Fury. So we have 1 confirmed and 2 kind of on. We have almost 3 on the way, actually. This one's almost done. This one will probably be changed at some point. That's actually the next command order. And this will be built at some point. So air will probably be the deciding factor in the game, at least as of right now, due to the fact that the environment is and landscape is very hard to maneuver large armies around, and you know, air doesn't care because it flies above all that. So we have all these T1 artillery raining fire down onto that position from Wuka, and these tridents are still able to get a firing solution. I can't angle. It's so hard to angle with this setup in this map. And you can see they're able to still fire down from that cliffside and just deal economic damage, a decent amount of it actually. They do get outranged at some point by just how far away those mass are. But at least they're able to at least force back that line of Wuka from this edge right here. Would like to see some missiles, but that's going to be countered by the TMD. Strat bomber would be a very good thing to be doing, or being in the clip right now for Team 2, being able to take out Wuka or anybody on that matter for Team 1. Team 2 is kind of starting to fall behind a little bit. There is a strat bomber alive and going after. Looks like the eco of Yzma takes out, actually goes after the PD instead of the eco. Does take out a mass extractor though. There is a SAM in the area as well, so that will start whittle down that health on that strat bomber. But it does fly off the map, so it can't be targeted. And then comes back in, goes after another Mechs, takes out the second Mechs. Does fly in next to that SAM. That SAM not prioritized the bomber. The bomber, I think, does get killed and flies off screen. And Sid making the comment that there are 3 T3 air. I don't know if that's them or if that's Team 1 he's referring to, but that might be Team 2 he's referring to, because there are 3 T3 air factories, and it looks like there might be a 4th maybe at some point. I wouldn't be surprised to see Surrey go for that T3 upgrade, because why not? I mean, you're already at T2 and the land is you're not really getting anywhere with land, so you might as well get with air, switch over to air. T3 upgrade going down for the comm of OCA. Gonna build some more shield generators and probably some PD to help kind of force back the front line of Yzma here to the east. We are at 18 minutes and no one has died. Prosperitus is still in this. He's built a factory. He has a mass extractor. So again, still kicking it in. The game has actually a couple of them as well. We're trying to stay alive in this game as long as possible. Definitely, again, a lot of people would have quit by now. So I applaud his tenacity and his willingness to keep going. He has the T2 land headquarters as well, so gonna see some T2P gens as well as maybe some. Well, you can't use the hover spam from the UEF. Maybe the missile. I do some missile launchers, but there are Team D up here as well, so he's just kind of just boxed in right here. I'd rather have him pull back and kind of defend the base of Yzma, just to ensure that this eastern front gets shored up. It's pretty much fire-based wars in the main base of Wuka over here. There aren't any artillery installations, which would be very good right here, just due to the fact that they're right on the doorstep of Wuka. He is going for a T2 shield generator, another one in fact. Would like to see again some artillery, missile launchers, anything to overwhelm the shields and the defenses of Wuka. And being able to eliminate the first player of the game will definitely put one of the teams ahead on the right foot. Doesn't mean they'll win or lose, but they do have that advantage of wiping out an entire player's eco and infrastructure in pretty much a second. I don't like the formation out from Yzma on this near this little hill here, due to the fact that since they're coming in one by one, a lot of them are being killed by these units out from OCA, and OCA is just repping up. He's already T3. He just crossed over into T3. He's going to get into T4 pretty 3-star comm. He's going to be a 4-star comm pretty soon. And just due to the range on that comm, you can see the crimson color showing the range. He's able to just spam up these T1 PD and just force back that offensive line. These Utashalas is having a disagreement with this plateau over here, trying to take out that TMD out from Daibi. I still feel like I'm saying their name wrong, or saying their name differently every single time. There is artillery out from Still X, and he is moving it closer underneath the shields of Shuri. That's a very good combination of team play here. One builds the defenses, one brings the offensive capabilities, so one player can focus on one thing and the other. He's T1 Dewey are trying to get a firing solution on anything up here, which they are doing a decent amount of damage to these units, but nothing to the main base or the fire base up here. Now, 5 land factories. I mean, I know you want to secure that plateau, but I think 5 is a little excessive. I probably would have done just 3, because T1 Lobos or artillery aren't going to reach that far. Oh, I do apologize. I missed the comm death of Yzma. Looks like the comm of OCA just pushed all the way forward and took out that comm with the assistance of these whalers out from Arctic 4 Polar. And gunships being featured pretty heavily in the last couple casts. Gunships are very effective in large numbers, and even in small numbers. And you can see all of the infrastructure out from Yzma just getting annihilated in all game 2v1. Something in German. There is an attack force out from Gutsy going down the main channel, and because that wall and defenses have fallen, they're able to just push all the way forward. There isn't any way to get up here to this upper plateau, but they are able to cut off Prosperitas down here in the southeastern section of the map. At both the comms of Sid and Still X underneath an asylum in this little water river channel thing. And if you've liked the cast so far, please like and comment down below who do you think is going to win, given the fact that it is a 5v4 in favor of Team 1 and the pro in this game is Sid. I mean, you could say Still X is a pro as well, but it's pretty much Sid leading the charge. And he isn't really taking a huge offensive role. He's just playing defensively, building up eco, building up factories, not really doing a whole lot in terms of, the ground game. And that might cost him. He needs to be a little more aggressive in helping his teammates just stave off attacks. Pretty much Team 1 owns almost the entire eastern side of the map. And unless they get a win over here to this northwestern side of this, of Team 1, Team 2 is going to be on the back foot for a decent section of this game, unfortunately for them. We're having a string of T1 units coming into this reclaim field that was once Yzma's base. Of Prosperitas getting down mass factories. Would like to see him again. He is, a -100. So would like to see him again get a couple more factories. He does have a T2 land headquarters going for these mobile anti-air, protecting this position. Unfortunately, no, that does have a firing solution. And I don't know what it's going for necessarily. That is its range. Looks like it's going after the missile defenses out from OCA. but that's not really going to amount to a whole lot. He doesn't have a transport to put units up there. Doesn't have really anything. So even if he takes this plateau out, it doesn't really matter. I'd rather see him, you know, maybe go up here to this plateau and build some artillery up here, a couple shields maybe, just to help hunker this southeastern portion of the map down to ensure that these defenses stay online as long as possible. We have the comm of OCA pushing all the way forward to this plateau, as I was mentioning a couple seconds ago. And having your comm this far forward is either saying I am very confident in myself and my team's ability to save me, or just being a little too not boldful. What's the word? Not prideful, but just too, well, for lack of a better word, just you're being too aggressive in this stage of the game. You know, 25 minutes, drop bombers or gunships could easily come over and kill him. And it's just not worth the risk, especially when your team is winning and is almost taking over this entire eastern side of the map. We do have a chicken out from Daibi here and is making its way southward, so that will probably help boost OCA's confidence. He's spamming up these T1 PDs to help take out all these defenses, which is a very good move. They fire very quickly and deal lots of damage. We have the Comma Prosperitus nearby. He's taking a couple hits, but trying to survive as best he can. At the best he can. Gutsy builds an experimental. It is a Colossus. The Colossus has to walk all the way down this channel and then go right. He can't be transported, so he's pretty much stuck down there. I would have liked to see him build it, you know, here and then use it against Team 2 down here to the southwest part of the map, because at least it's able to at least deal, you know, infrastructure damage and economic damage. Because down there it's going to do nothing. Oh, well, hold on. Scratch that. He does have a way up. I do apologize. There is a little ramp here in the back line of Team 1. And so he's going to build it, you know, move it all the way up and then all the way down. So that will give a decent amount of time for Team 2 to mount a counterattack. Looks like player of Stiltlex having some power issues. Not able to supply enough power to his forward shields. Looks like he fixed that pretty quickly. But Did is just, I mean, he has the small air force comparatively against the air forces out from Team 1. He doesn't have, I mean, at this point, I would go Nuke Rush, I would go RT Rush, I'd go, you know, pretty much skip the mid game and late game, but just go straight to the end game very quickly. He's going for an upgrade. What is he going for? He's going for T2. I don't know why it doesn't tell me. That's really weird. But Team 1 just taking over this entire eastern side. And Prosperitus control Ks. Looks like, I don't know if he, OCA definitely gets the credit for that kill, but it looks like Prosperitus just say, I'm going to control K just to end it. He was already dead. He was in a corner for pretty much the entire game, unfortunately. And he isn't the first to die. He survived longer than Yzma did. And now it's a 5v3 in favor of Team 1. And, you know, even though you have the best player on your team in terms of the, you know, the player roster, and even the second best player, that doesn't mean anything if you don't have any coordination between your teammates and the same game plan. I mean, there are players on Team 2 that were aggressive and trying to push forward. You also had players on Team 2 that were just going to sit back and eco and just kind of hang out. And due to that, even Zybe is pushing farther and faster in terms of the eco race. And Team 1, they are beating Team 2 by a 2-to-1 margin, if not more than that. So probably a better Pro B Joe match would be probably 2 pros, at least at the 2,000 plus rating, and to give it a better leveling. So if, you know, Still X was 300 points higher, probably a better match. But I figured this would be a good match to illustrate the fact that even if you're facing off against a higher level player than you by a significant margin in this case, that doesn't mean anything if they don't actually coordinate with their team, have a strategy going. Because I'm assuming what's going on in Sid's mind is I'm going to eco, I'm going to build SMD, I'm going to build all of the air that I can, and then go from there. But that only gets you to the mid and late game. That doesn't get you to the end game. And at this point, 29 minutes in, you need an end game plan like that. Team 1 controls the entire eastern side of the map. That's going to jack their eco up. I mean, it's even, it's 1,800 right now. Give it a couple more minutes. It'll be like 2K plus. Total mass accrued, as you can see on the northeast side of the screen, pretty much 1.2 million to 800,000. So 400,000 mass differential between both of these teams. We're seeing missile launchers being used by the player of OCA to anything they can against these defenses, and specifically this Galactic Colossus, who's taken a huge beating. I do apologize. Having like a coughing, sneezing fit for some reason. There are artillery installations being built to try to push this force back, but 2 Colossus versus not a whole lot of defenses. Not really going to look good for Surrey on this northwestern side of the map. Just look at the devastation. I never realized how tall these Harbingers are until you start comparing it to other units and structures. They're almost, I'd say they're 2/3 the height of a comm. And that comm out from Surrey is retreating as fast as it can on its little legs, and comparatively to these Colossus. There's even strat bombers overhead. Another one lands and is going to kill the comm of Surrey. It's going to drop this game to a 5v2 in favor of Team 1. Team 1 has been ahead in the player count the entire game, or tied / in the lead. These Colossus are going to die to a huge host of these broadswords, so that would be a decent-sized mass dump. Force it to scoop up. There is a Colossus nearby that will hopefully help deal with the rest of this Colossus's hit points. But those gunships push forward. Are they going after the other experimental out from Zybe? No, they're not. They might be going for the comm of Gutsy, just going all the way into the back line. See, this is the aggressive move I was talking about that Sid should have done earlier. Using his ASFs to shield. Maybe that will be enough. The shields go down around Gutsy. Gutsy is going to fall. Tries to get under shield coverage, and kaboom. That is going to be a win for Team 2. They desperately needed that at the 31-minute mark. So this is going to go from a 5v2 to a 3v2. Because it even looks like the comm of OCA got killed in that debacle as well. Looks like he died. Well, that's Preparedness. Where did OCA die? But oh, that was Gutsy. There's... I mean, that seems like a too small of an explosion, because that's an explosion of a comm, as evidenced by that thing. So, I don't think he definitely is dead. I don't, okay, maybe that was I guess that's the Seraphim explosion, because that was where Yzma died. So, looks like the comm of OCA went all the way forward, very aggressive play, and just got overwhelmed by T1 forces or gunships or whatever the case. Actually, these are from Arctic, so maybe got overwhelmed by a ton of gunships. It looks like a lot of aircraft nearby. So that, again, the dangers of having your comm in the front lines in a no-share game is all of your infrastructure goes up in smoke, and that drops Team 1's eco by a significant margin. I mean, they were at 1.8, 1.9. Now they're at 1.3, 1.4. Team 2 is still behind them by 2-1 margin. So that's not going to help their chances of coming back in the mass game. But we have seen other games, especially the game yesterday, where you could be down mass pretty much the entire game and still win. So mass isn't the only measurement that you use to calculate who's going to win and who's going to lose. Another horde of these broadswords move in against the infrastructure and forces out from Zybe here in the middle of the map. He's going in deep. Looks like he's going for the main base of Arctic here. He also sees Arctic in the beach, trying to go for that water. Arctic will make it into the water, unfortunately for Sid. Looks like, just sub 3,000 hit points. That was very close. A couple seconds later, and that would have been a calm kill. Going after the air grid, very good play there. Would like to see him focus down one target instead of going between multiple different targets. Yeah, a lot of that air grid goes up. Another air grid again fell from OCA. So the only air grid for Team 1 at the moment is from the player of Zybe here to the north. And Arctic, recovering hit points pretty quickly, but that was a couple more seconds and that was a kill for Sid. Sid's plan was pretty much just board up as much as he can and then throw it all at once, which can work. He did get one kill and possibly get credit for that second kill as well down here in the south. Now we have a Fat Boy raining on his plateau parade. We also have a chicken guarding this approach down here to the north, in the northwest, guarding the reclaim of these two colossi. Another horde of broadswords are on approach to this Fat Boy. Fat Boy sees them and goes, nope, I'm out of here. Lots of SAMs in the water here. Very good placement here. Very hard to get somewhat of a firing solution onto those SAMs due to the fact of the environment from bombers and whatnot. And just looks like Team 2 had a very good push for about 4 or 5 minutes. And now it's kind of quiet on the main front. Looks like we have the combo of Arctic going for a laser. He might move in for telemaser as well. That, again, very risky play to do in a no-share game. You pretty much risk your entire base for a move that may or may not work. We have another Galactic Colossus out here from Still X. And you notice now, at the 35-minute mark, we have the Pro and the, above that 1,500 threshold Pro for Still X versus Goes and a little bit of a Pro of Zybe. So it has now turned into a proper Pro versus Joe match, except the Joes have the serious advantage of a 2-to-1 eco still with over 800,000 mass more than their opponents. That's a huge margin. That's 3 Paragon. That's a lot of mass. These Fat Boys and Chicken being protected by a couple squadrons out here from Zybe. They're going to be able to deal lots and lots of damage to that Colossus. The Chicken does go down, unfortunately, for Team 1. The Ion Storm goes off, and those Colossus, man, those are magnets for those Ion Storms. I don't know what it is, but Ion Storms just hate Colossi. They just hate them. Absolutely hate them. A couple of these Redeemers, these anti-air bots that just get annihilated by PD. Looks like we have artillery raining down from the comm of Sid. Looks like he went for Dukes. Of course, that is the UEF T3 artillery. Going for another one as well. Would like to see more shielding, though. A couple squadrons of Cloud Bombers could easily penetrate those shields and take all those artillery out. So would like to see even more SAMs. Just put some here, put some just everywhere. Just layers and layers of defenses. Taking out a large section of that air grid that was trying to be rebuilt for Arctic. There is a couple factories still online. I would like to see the artillery being tasked onto this air grid. This is definitely the main concern in terms of air power for Team 1. We have Wuka, who has a T3 factory but doesn't have the factories in the area to really pump out air units fast enough. He almost has a Duke online as well, going for mass fab farms in the back line with shields. Good luck to see that as well. So there's going to be one artillery online for Team 1 now to counter that artillery out from Sid. I don't see any other plans to do anything of the sort over here in the northeast and the southeast. Small base has been built up with lots of SAMs. I love this. I love the fact that they push their SAMs all the way forward and are able to just lock out the southeastern side, forcing Team 2 to go around it and to ensure that there's no possible flybys. And, oops, there's now like 24 strap bombers on the way. Oh, no, we're going to see them because they're flying right at them. And we have the play out from Wuka using the artillery from these fat boys to just take out a lot of this infrastructure on these upper plateaus. Especially with this, huge clean camera battery. There's 8 of them right here. And SAM's being built up all the time. Team 1 has figured out that air is the way to win the game. Because pretty much that's the only effective thing that you can do at this point. But your units will matter a whole lot more than, units that have to travel all the way around, all the way. It's too much time for your opponent to build up defenses. That's a huge ASF bubble out from Zybe. We have 137 out from him. And what about for Sid? How many do we have? Only 46, so almost down by 100. It's it's a little over a 3-to-1 advantage in favor of Zybe. So air control definitely sitting in Team 1's hands, and a huge wave of strat bombers come in to try to take out the rest of those hit points from that Colossus down here to the north, or up here to the north. Lots of strat bombs do miss though, and still miss that Colossus trying to dance as much as it can. It can only do that for so long. It's, very slow and very big. So it will not dodge forever, but it will dodge as long as it can. So definitely going to watch that out. There are engineers trying to get out to get this reclaim, but this reclaim has sat here for a while, and it's going to sit in Team 1's hands for probably the rest of the game. Unless Wuka gets defeated, then definitely Team 2 has a chance for that mass. Looks like that T3 artillery is not shielded. Well, hard to... It is just barely. The shimmer of those shields are very hard to see with this light background, or the light ground color. We are having blows trading back and forth between the artilleries from Wuka and Sid. Wouldn't be surprised to see artilleries being built here in the main base of either Arctic or Zybe, which I don't see currently. Oh, I do see one planned out here for Arctic, so he's going to get into the artillery game as well. No one going for nukes, surprisingly. There are SMD in most of the bases at this point. I think every base but... Yeah, every base but still X's. But still X is being covered. What is that SMD out from... Oh, it's right here. I would like to see that maybe a little closer to cover both bases. So that's kind of a misplay in terms of placement, but no one's building nukes, which I feel like is actually a good play at this point. You're not, you're not in fear of a land attack. Air attack, like Team 1 has air control, so why not? They're building artillery, which, don't need to worry about, land or air for that in terms of hitting the mark. But, nukes, same thing. I'm just surprised to not see any. Even Wuka has a SMD up on this upper plateau, so he's covered on this northwestern side. And Team 2 similarly covered, but you could edge out a nuke and take out something of the main base for Arctic. But Team 2 not going that way. They have to fight this southeastern side as well. Just mobile AA, missile launchers, SAMs, a whole host of these engineers maybe going to assist that factory. There are pings going down saying to assist that factory. Maybe the engineers were given a different order. It looks like they're going to spam out... what would you spam out for Othams, maybe? You spam up Othams. Pretty about it. Missile launchers, anti-air. We are going to see a strat bomber incursion come here pretty soon. They have been given their orders. It looks like, yep. And where are they headed? They are headed for that artillery battery. The second artillery has been built for Sid, and once he starts getting a critical mass of those, it is not going to be a good thing for Team 1. But a lot of those ASF are able to swing in behind the main ASF force out from Zybe and take out the rest of those SAMs. So a lot of those strats, they hit the shield. They probably take out a shield or two in terms of its strength or its energy reserves, but not really going to matter a whole lot. Artillery constantly raining back and forth between these two players out here to the northwest and southwest. Another T3 artillery going down for Wuka. I would not put your comm next to a whole host of these mass fabricators. If an artillery shell lands, that's pretty much game over. So probably move that somewhere else. Maybe just put it under the water over there. That'd be actually a good placement. Very hard to hit that. But we're at the 43-minute mark, so we're getting into that obviously end game stage of the match, and on players' minds that just should be on your mind. I'd say at least 30 minutes, if not sooner, but at least 30 minutes should be like, okay, it's mid game's over, late game's starting to be settling in. How do we end it? And Sid's idea is going mass artillery, which can work. You just need to puncture the enemy artillery, and unfortunately, if multiple players build up artillery on the opposing side, that's not going to bode well due to the fact that there's now 2 separate artilleries being built for Arctic. We have Zybe just focusing on air. That's actually what he should be doing due to the fact that you have 2 players focusing artillery. You need somebody in the skies. If you give Team 2 air control at any point, they're going to run them over. I mean, there's lots of SAMs, but there's only so much SAMs can do to prevent, 50 strap bombers from coming in. OCA making a point that there's, again, artillery. I think Team 1 is aware that there is artillery at that location. There's a 3rd one being built, but I think they're aware that there's I appreciate the communications between the players on Team 1, but probably that's something that a lot of those players on Team, all 3 of them, in fact, probably know that there's artillery. Missile launchers being used to take out the eco for Zybe here on this upper plateau. There are some Team D in the area. They are just not fast enough to deal with those missiles, and they take out, I think those were T3, so small chunk of eco gone, but still, it's not a 2-to-1 now, like 1.5 to 1, but not really like. They're just kind of whittling away, death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. Large biplane mission trying to get an idea of what's going on in that main base for Sid. And unfortunately, a lot of these kennels are not protected, so artillery shells can land, take out a lot of that build power, and pretty much cripple that ability to build and maintain those shields and artillery. SMD, question mark. Yeah, Yzma making a comment, there's no SMD. He also made a comment of building nukes. Nuke question mark. Yeah, if there was a nuke here, they could probably edge it out if it was close to this western side of the map, but it is not building nukes. OCA making comment, ACC. That's a very good point of making out, is the fact that you have the dead players pointing out, here is SMD, here are the ACUs, here are, this, that, and the other. These are very important things to pay attention of, and sometimes you get the the subcom tunnel brain, the subcom brain in general, just you kind of lose sight of a lot of the things going on and kind of just if very focused, especially at 46 minutes, especially as you get to an hour plus, that subcom brain really turns it up to 11, because it is exhausting after a while of playing a game for this long where you have to constantly think. It does wear you down. And a lot of that shield coverage has started to fall for Sid. You can see a lot of the damage going down on these artillery structures, and a couple more shells, and this is gone. And that's pretty much, this is Team 2's plan. This is all Team 2's hopes riding right here, is Sid and his artillery. And honestly, that's probably not the best bet due to the fact that there are now multiple places where artillery is raining down from. We have one over here for Arctic. He almost has finished a second one. There still isn't anything for Zybe, but that's fine because he's going for air, and that's perfectly fine right now, especially because you need air control. There's 2 of them now in this northwestern section. Lots of shields. There's kennel. There should be kennels. Where are the kennels? Are there no kennels for the UEF player of Wuka? He should have kennels. That's like build power 101 for UEF players, is kennels. And if you can't get kennels, you get highs from Cyberns. That's pretty much. All the shield coverage is down. A couple more artillery shells and probably wipe out a huge section of those shield installations go down. Another section of those shield installations go down. Artillery still raining down from the skies. The shields pop back on at the last second. And that artillery would have rained right on top of the comm of Wuka. That would have been very, very deadly. We have another strap bomber push out here from Zybe trying to get in. But the ASFs don't care about the enemy ASFs. They only care about the strap bombers. And more of them do get closer and closer to that main artillery battery. But the shields are just a little too strong. Their artillery shells are raining down. That one that was being built is taken out. This one, this Duke lasting at 1,000 less hit, 900 hit points left. I cannot talk. Don't know why. I cast these games and I feel like I can talk. I'm perfectly fine all day. Then I start casting them and my brain just turns to mush. And like can't get the words out that I want to say. And there is, the artillery is starting to penetrate those shields, starting to take out all the infrastructure surrounding them. They're trying to just hold this shield as much as it can. And it will protect, pretty much all of the artillery. As you can see that one right there. But a couple of those P-gens go down. That does not matter. That shield's going to go down and kill everything. One of them does fall, takes out two of those shield gens. Another shield gen just, popping in and out, trying to stay alive as much as it can. Another installation goes down. Factory, no one cares about the factory. Another P-gen goes down. The shield falls very quickly. Another shield gen pops right back up. So this is just a losing battle. It's like trying to plug the holes of a boat that's just constantly getting more holes. At some point, the boat's going to sink. You need a play that's just going to, put all the chips on the line, just put everything you have, just shove it down the throat of your opponent if you can. And if you can't, then you lose. At this point, if Sid keeps doing the same thing, he's going to lose. And I feel like this turtle play that he did, he is a UEF player. UEF players are sometimes known for turtling. The faction is built for turtling. That's just a thing that they do. I just think he turtled a little too much, and because of that, Team 1 was able to get very aggressive with the map control, get lots of mexes, get lots of eco very quickly, and just go, well, if you're going to try to out-eco us, we'll just outlast you and eco you out in the late game. And they did. You have two artillery out here from Arctic, a third one on the way. Two out here on the northwest section of the map for Wuka. There isn't a third one on the way. Lots of shield generators protecting everything. And trying to get another artillery installation up and running. We do have a desync. Apologies for that. And that will pretty much signify the end of Sid's tenure in this game. He has one artillery installation left. It's not enough. That artillery is just barely missing. And 4v1 in terms of artillery, 5v1 pretty soon. It's the writing's on the wall. Unfortunately for the pro of Sid, he was not able to hoist all of the efforts of Team 2 on his shoulders and is pretty much going to fall under the weight of those responsibilities. Arctic builds an experimental. It is a crab on this eastern side of the map. Again, 1, 2, almost 3, 4, 5, another 6 being constructed. That's a lot of artillery, especially when you've lost all of them but one. 4v1 is not the situation you want to be in. Another strap bomber push with some gunships. The writing is on the wall. ASFs try to hold them off, but actually all of the factories are gone, so no more ASFs for that. He is trying. It looks like still is trying to get a artillery online in the back line, but that's not really going to matter at this point. Broadswords come in and are probably going to target that last surviving artillery. Go after anti-air units. Go after mexes. Go after shields. The writing is on the wall. Sid's under the water, trying to just hold out. Wuka, the map kind of starts to the match starts to deteriorate. But again, as you can see, the writing was on the wall. There was no way. I mean, small percentage, maybe like 1%, 2% chance that Sid was going to come back from that. But the map control alone, plus more artillery being built constantly, wasn't going well. The shields were starting to fall around this one artillery, but with this one, 25% completed. There's another one over here, like I said, and then 2 more in this corner that's heavily defended. It was not getting out of there. Even if this gunship run did not work, another one would have come in and just wiped the rest of it off the floor. Still X lost pretty much his entire base. They didn't have any air left, pretty much. So Team 1 had full air control, and it would have taken a while to rebuild the rest of that air. There's one factory that was literally about to get bombed by that strat bomber. So Team 1 definitely wins this match. It does end in a desync technically, but again, when desyncs happen pretty late in the game, and you can pretty much tell one team is definitely ahead, definitely in the lead, you can pretty much call it for that team. So I'm calling the match for Team 1. It ends on a 3v2. Sid did a very good job at the later portion of the game trying to hold out, but his earlier efforts to just turtle, eco, and just kind of build up, he wasn't aggressive enough, and because of that, pretty much lost it for his team. And other players could have done a lot too. They could have been a lot less aggressive and all of that, but Team 1 had the better cohesion, better teamwork. Could have been a little less aggressive in terms of comm placements. Looking at you, OCA. But besides that, again, a good match, a good lesson to show that even if you have somebody on the other team that is a high-rated player, doesn't matter. You can still beat him. And again, thank you so much. Apologies for the coughing and the loud sneezing. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. My little rants throughout the video, and I will see all of you in the next one.